Welcome to Simplicity Conversations, the podcast where business, culture, and community come together to inspire and empower. I'm your host, Catherine Ripley. Each week, we'll explore meaningful conversations about how today's business landscape is shaped by innovation, relationships, and the people behind the progress. From actionable insights and stories from industry leaders to topics like customer experience, fostering strong business relationships, and the role of automation, we've got you covered. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating growth, a leader focused on building lasting connections, or someone interested in how culture and community drive success, Simplicity Conversations is here to guide you. If you're ready to turn challenges into opportunities and make meaningful strides in your business and community, subscribe now and join the conversation. Get ready to simplify complexity and make an impact with Simplicity Conversations. Welcome to Simplicity Conversations, where we explore technology, leadership, and the power of collaboration. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Jennifer Wangler, Vice President of Technology at The Right Place. Together, we're going to discuss her journey, the impact of the Technology Council of West Michigan, and the future of tech in our region. But first, let's start with the Simplicity Insight. The quote today is, "The best way to predict the future is to invent it," by Alan Kay. I really feel that this resonates with me because, I've had to have a lot of courage in my business. We're just starting our 19th year. We had our 18th birthday earlier this month. And, there's no definition of what this business looks like. It really needs to drive and change and take advantage of opportunities. So I love to think about the future. I'm a visionary, but I also like to be surprised by what some of the things that do happen. So if you'd like to subscribe to Simplicity Conversations for more insights into the leaders and innovations shaping the world of business and technology, we'd love for you to subscribe. So Jen, welcome to Simplicity Conversations.
Thank you for having me, Catherine.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled. It's like a pinch me moment when I look at the logo and see Simplicity Conversations. It was earlier this year that we sat and did the Meet Her podcast.
Yes.
And I came out of that going, I have had, the podcast on my goal list to do for, 5 or 6 years.
I love that.
Yeah. And you kind of were the catalyst for us to start looking at it at Simplicity and saying, hey, maybe we can do this.
So cool.
Yeah. Very cool. So I love that you're one of our first guests and being able to talk about it, especially with all of the impact that you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in becoming the Vice President of Technology at The Right Place and what excites you most about your role.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually started many years ago in small business. So when I do my talks, I often ask the audience, who remembers their first job out of college? And a few people raise their hands. And I said, well, mine was actually running a small business. So my parents owned a tier 1 supplier to the automotive industry. When we graduated, my brother and I, we took over and ran the business. He was the CEO, I was the COO, and we just kind of wore multiple hats. So it was typical small West Michigan business.
Yep.
And so that really drove my early passion for entrepreneurs and all of the challenges and struggles and leadership decisions that one has to take in order to be in that role. So we were in our early 20s, and then 2008 hit, and it was a very tough time. If you remember, the automotive industry did not do well. And if you were a tier 1, tier 2 supplier, you were struggling. And so after a lot of heartfelt discussions and, research, we decided to sell the business and sell it to assets. But it really was my first foray into the work that I do today. And it gives me the courage and the passion to sit across the table from leaders like yourself and have those really tough discussions around business. And so today I am the Vice President of Technology for The Right Place. I also lead a local industry council, as you know, because you're on it, the Technology Council of West Michigan. And I just love what I do. There's so much about it that gives back to not only my personal passion to help entrepreneurs, but also the community as well.
I have the pleasure of coming to the right place once a month with our CEO roundtable through Edward Lowe Foundation.
Yeah.
So I kind of see some of that excitement. And, we just a few months ago had Tech Week, Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
and third year, I believe.
Third year. Yeah.
And wow, was that fantastic. I feel like you have so many hats of your day job as vice president of technology. And then you've got, the tech council, and then you've got Tech Week, and then you've got Go Beyond. So we're going to get into a lot of these different facets, but I think all of that focuses on how exciting it is to be living in Grand Rapids and having some
Absolutely.
of these programs and opportunities at our fingertips.
Absolutely. When people, when I do talks around town and actually around the country, we've had a lot of groups come into town from different parts of the United States inquiring about how we launched a 10-year tech strategy and how we built a tech council. And what I often say is that West Michigan is just special, right? It's a very rising tides community in that you have leaders that think far beyond the companies that they're leading or even the technology that they're talking about. They want to support each other. They want to support the community. They have committed to connections and collaboration
Mhm.
in a way that just isn't seen in other parts of the state or even the country. So we have a secret sauce here.
We really do. West Michigan, I'm involved in Inform as well. We kind of
Yes.
have some cross pollination there.
Yes.
But I think there's always a sense of how can I help? I've lived in other areas for brief stints, and I just haven't seen that type of business. And how can we help? What can we do? There's a few organizations that we have in Michigan, like the Edward Lowe Foundation, that are helping entrepreneurs. But I think it's also tied in with, the importance of companies that are involved in Tech Week, whether they're a small business, entrepreneur or manufacturers. I think technology and the importance of technology is really driving a lot. And we're becoming this tech hub in Midwest, and it's so thrilling.
Yeah, exciting stuff. It's interesting because when I'm out and I'm doing my talks around the 10-year tech strategy, and the first thing I say is, now picture Grand Rapids as the next tech hub of the Midwest. When I said that 2 years ago, you might have heard a few chuckles in the room.
Yeah, no doubt.
But now, given the traction and the fact that in our third year of hosting Tech Week, we are the second largest Tech Week in the Midwest, we're really starting to get some serious looks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. So, Technology Council of West Michigan, let's talk a little bit about what that is and where you got the idea for the Technology Council.
yeah. Most people don't know that actually the Technology Council started several years even before I was at the right place. But if you think about technology and how it's evolved, back then it was really more about infrastructure
Mhm.
in the IT side of the house. So when I joined about 10 years ago, there were 4 software consultancies that were sitting at the table. And again, their passion really was, we do great work in West Michigan, but you can only sell lattes to your neighbors for so long. You need to go outside and sell your goods and create this brand of tech for our community. So when I joined them, that's where we started. A couple years after that, we decided to go back and take a look at our vision and our mission. And we changed it to be more about how, from a peer to peer perspective, how do we support each other? There's a lot happening in our community, in the world, and especially in tech. And tech moves at such a rapid pace that we as leaders find ourselves struggling to kind of stay abreast and stay on top of things. So, how do we develop this culture and this community within West Michigan where, from a peer to peer perspective, we can go to each other, we can talk about our challenges, share best practices in a truly authentic way,
Mhm.
and help each other grow? And then organically, our businesses will grow, our teams will grow. And so that's really where it started a couple of years ago. And we've stayed true to that vision and that mission. So when we started, we had 4, and we are just north of 70 today, CEOs, CIOs, all different sizes. We
Mhm.
have Corewell Health, Jason Joseph, CIO of Corewell Health, to some very early stage entrepreneur and businesses.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I think collaboration is definitely the key because you have to get outside of Grand Rapids too. So I know
Yeah.
CES happened this month, and we had a few people out there. And, even in Forum, partnering up with one of the manufacturers that was at CES. And that gives us the ability to step out. And I know you've been down in Austin and up in Toronto, but that gives us the ability to see what other, major areas that are focusing on tech, what they're doing, and how we can learn from that. So, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Like I said, the pace of tech is changing so rapidly that even those practitioners within the industry, like yourself, are struggling to stay ahead of it. So, one of the things that we try to do with the Tech Council is 4 times a year, we hold what we call technology exchanges. And it's an opportunity for us to bring in leaders from the outside to talk about what's happening in tech, what are the trends, where companies and founders and knowledge workers focusing, what's happening with talent. So we do that 4 times a year. And then we also invite in industry leaders that are exploring the Midwest to move, live, and work as a way to kind of build that connection and collaboration and create partnership opportunities. But yeah, certainly, when we look at trends like AI, it's changing every day, and we have multiple different facets and types of businesses that are trying to grapple with how do we grow our own internal team?
Hmm.
These things are changing as well as keep up with our customer demand.
Yeah, it is. It is very challenging. I think the word automation or AI, just initially puts people in shock of they want it, they know they need it, they
Yeah.
just don't know how to navigate it. It's definitely an opportunity. And speaking of opportunities, as the head of Tech Council, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the tech sector in West Michigan?
Yeah, there's a lot happening. I'll go back to that AI component. So, still today, 25% of our local footprint is in manufacturing. And so, when you think about our top 3 industries, advanced manufacturing, health, life science, and tech, I think the opportunity in front of us is really to elevate that tech footprint
Mhm.
first, right? So, we launched a 10-year tech strategy just about 3 years ago. And the main focal point for that was to double our tech footprint over the next 10 years. So I think that's going to stay on the forefront. And then looking into our other industries, such as the health, life science, and the advanced manufacturing, how do we help them become more efficient? And how do we use technology to do that? And so digging deep into our relationships with our universities, right? And keeping some of that advanced tech that's happening at those universities here local will be important to us. Working with them to help create the next generation of leaders and talent will be very important to us, as well as working with leaders in other industries like manufacturing to understand what their customers are asking for and help enable them to use tech to meet those challenges. Because at the end of the day, tech is an enabler, but looking for ways to do that, I think that that's where a tech council really stands out.
I think what's interesting, having a technology company myself, I believe that every company is a technology company
Right.
because
Or
it
becoming one.
it really
Yes.
is. It's so woven into the platforms we use. So you can be a manufacturer, but you really need to embrace technology. And we try to help our clients understand that technology can be a revenue producer. It's not just a cost, it's
Sure.
not just an
Sure.
expense. You
Yeah.
really want it to help drive revenue. And I think some of the forward thinking companies that are happening right now, that's what they're embracing is that they
Absolutely.
want to invest in technology. They want to work with thought leaders that can help them integrate it and use data to make good decisions
Yeah.
for where their company's going instead of being afraid of it and saying, no, I don't want to use AI. It's not safe. You just have to have the right security partners that help you. You've got to have the right products, but it's getting woven into every platform that we're using.
Spot on.
So you've got to just embrace it and then just make sure you've got the right people helping. So I think that that's what I see, being a part of the Tech Council, watching Tech Week GR and how it's going to evolve. If you think over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be
Yeah.
looking back saying, you remember those first 3 years?
Yeah.
How, it's so much bigger because
Right.
we just have so much opportunity.
Right. Yeah, spot on. I mean, the magic of watching the tea leaves, right? And being able to predict what's going to happen. I just had this discussion with a group of folks the other day, and they were talking about these were leaders in local consultancies. And they were talking about, just the challenge internally with making sure that their teams have the latest and the greatest as it relates to AI so that they can go out and consult with companies in other areas. So I, a year ago, spent some time in Boston talking to a group about kind of where technology is going, especially in our local ecosystem. And there was a gentleman from Harvard, and he talked about AI and likened it to a J curve. He said that initially there's a lot of excitement around it, but he wants to use it. Then they find that they don't have the internal team to push forward as fast as they wanted to. And so there's a little bit of dip in it. And then once they've built in their internal competencies, then you'll see a spike and you'll go back up. So I believe in West Michigan, we're in that dip. And I think 2025 is going to see a spike back up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the impact that the right place, the council, just all of the facets that you're focused on is we're starting to really gain that momentum. But I'd love to know, what are you most proud of at this point?
Oh gosh, overall and what I've done. It's funny, I had my performance review not too long ago. And
Mhm.
so this question always comes up. And I think for me, the go beyond, which we haven't talked about yet, has been the most rewarding over the past couple of years. It's not just a new program, it's personal to me.
Mhm.
2 years ago, a colleague of mine, Stacy Paul, CEO of Array of
Love
Engineers,
Stacy.
yes, local leader, wonderful,
Mhm.
has been an amazing friend and mentor for me. We had this deep discussion around, gosh, it just is, as leaders, it's so hard to be the only women in a room on a daily and a weekly basis. So
Yeah.
we need to do something different. We went on a bit of a journey and went to other areas of the country to look for other programs like Go Beyond. And we brought back speaker Christine Uffington,
Mhm.
and she has a wonderful book out there and has a wonderful program, and ran a half day session for us in Grand Rapids. And it was all around, creating this really strong network and connections, not just in your personal life, but your professional life. And that was a half day, and it just was so empowering. And we had such great feedback that we decided the next year to do a full day. So last year was our first full day rollout after a pilot project. We got a lot of positive feedback, but many of the women came back and said, one day is still isn't enough. We need more. We've made
Mhm.
these great connections, but we want to stay connected to these people. So then we decided to bring it back again this year. We're still going to do a full day. And now we have what we call monthly coffee circles. So we get together as a group and as a community, and we continue to build out those connections and those collaborations and partnerships. And I've seen so many great things happen from just showing up in
Mhm.
your authentic self and being in the room and being open to collaborate.
Yeah, I remember that event with Christy, and just I brought one of my staff members that was fairly new to the organization, but I wanted her to see herself and understand that she's in technology and bring them out, getting out of those offices, getting out from those cubes and providing them that place where they can go and connect with other people. I think it's so important, the go beyond work that you're doing.
Thank you.
We I'm involved in Inforum, which
Yes.
is, helping women lead and succeed.
Yes.
I've been a board member for 4 years, and I've been involved in the group since 2009. So I do see a lot of, women in business, but also
Yes.
trying to pull women into STEAM and just really help get that voice, because I am one of those that when I go to conferences, if there's panels, they might be all men up there,
Mhm.
and we need to get more diversity, having voices. So not only having the technology council, I see a lot of diversity in that, but
Yeah.
also providing the avenue for women in Go Beyond and helping them find mentors, helping them find their voice, showing them a path. I think that those connections and collaboration is what then furthers that year over year. So, maybe there are aspirations of having a multi-day conference of Go Beyond, and then, inviting some of the other thought leaders. And so when they come in and there's a panel, there's mostly women.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it truly, it goes beyond just a day. It's a mindset. Go beyond is a mindset, right? It's showing up authentically, even when things are not going well. And if we can encourage and give women the courage to do that and to not have things like imposter syndrome when they're in a room full of people that don't look like them, then I've succeeded. And
Yes.
that to me is success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a very real thing. I mean, sometimes I think about that, and, there's these statistics that, if you make it past 2 years of your business, okay, a certain percentage will fall off. And then 5 years is the next milestone. And I just read something about if you make it 15 years, only 25% of the businesses that started when I started in 2007 are still around. And so I think about that going, okay, we just had our 18th birthday, starting our 19th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And I think, okay, have I made it yet? But, there are those moments where you start questioning yourself going, oh my goodness, can I do this? And, I've been doing it this long. I think I'm onto something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's really important for us to continue to affect change and making sure we're making opportunities for the right person. It's not always, somebody shouldn't get a job just because of, they're female or any kind of race. I feel like it's the right person needs to get the job, but I think it's important for us to be talking to people to say, making sure that you're showing up, making sure you're prepared, making sure that you're adding value.
Yeah.
If you're doing those things, you might not always get the yeses, but you're going to get more yeses than if you just wait for an opportunity to come knocking to you.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what I see in Go Beyond is just the gathering together, providing that opportunity to connect. And then we have this thing in West Michigan where it's like, how can I help? What can I do for you?
Sure.
And
Rising tides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the coffee circles, and I can't wait to host a coffee circle in our new facility that we just moved in.
I'm so excited about that.
Oh my gosh, Jen, it's what a huge opportunity. And
as my kids would say, it's going to be lit.
It's going to be totally lit. And, I just met with the sign company because the building, the 12-story building, is going to have a Simplicity Communications name on the building.
Oh, wow.
Yay. I didn't know that was a bucket list item, but I can tell you it is.
Yes.
to have, I kind of joke about this. You look
so
around
cool.
downtown. We're right on Monroe Center at 60 Monroe
Right
Center.
in the heart of it.
In the heart of it. You look at some of the business names on the buildings like Van Andel and DeVos and Meyer and Simplicity Communications. How cool is that?
Yeah.
But no, we're super excited. I just met with them to get the signage changed out. But being able to have a gathering space was really my driver for making that change from where our current location is to where we're moving into, because I want to provide that opportunity for women, whether it's in Inforum, whether it's in the Tech Council, the coffee circles. But I also had one of our customers is United Way, and they reached out going, hey, can we do our summer women's event at your office?
Wonderful.
I'm like, yes, please.
See,
it's like it's already starting to come to fruition. And I think, collaboration and making sure people are introduced to the right people and mentorship happens and connections. I think that's the special sauce in West Michigan that we have. Are there any particular Go Beyond success stories that you have? I mean, we've already talked a little bit, but that really are particularly inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple. And I just, for the audience to know, it's Go Beyond will be this year on Thursday, February 27th in Grand Rapids. It's a full day, so 9 to 3 p.m. And you can find out more information by going to our website, rightplace.org. Under events.
We'll make sure to put in the registration stuff when this podcast drops, because we definitely want people to spread the word and show up.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Both Go Beyond and Coffee Circles have been incredible opportunities for women in business to show up and have discussions with other women that are doing technology projects or services adjacent to theirs. And so there have been a lot of partnership opportunities that have evolved from both Go Beyond and Coffee Circle. One of them that resonates with me is a young woman in town who is launching a new product that predicts pedestrian traffic. So if you are standing at a red light and as traffic is going by, the product that she has produced will detect when that traffic is coming and going so as to reduce fatalities. So I know it's a really cool product. And she struggled to get traction to begin with. And so at one of the coffee circles, she had met with somebody from the city of Grand Rapids and now was able to launch a pilot with the city of Grand Rapids and several other areas of her product. She also met a young woman that was actually running a manufacturing company that was able to help her get some of her pilot products manufactured. So,
Wow.
real deal flow
Yeah.
happening, but in a way that doesn't happen unless you purposefully get out and connect with the community. And so, what I tell people is, you need to just show up.
Show up.
You
Yep.
need to just show up.
So, what advice would you give to women aspiring to enter or advance in the tech industry?
Looking for mentors is not an easy task in any industry. But again, as I just said about this previous experience, I tell these women, I said, I'll create the opportunity, I'll create the space, but then I need you to show up and be authentic and ask for what you need. And then I also talk to them about asking. Sometimes you're going to get, 6 no's before you get the right yes, but it's a
Mhm.
numbers game. And so reaching out to groups like the Go Beyond community and Inforum and the Technology Council and come and start to have those discussions around what your needs are, that's where the partnerships will arise.
Wow, it's so exciting. Let's talk a little bit about Tech Week, Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
This was the third year. We had some
Mhm.
great speakers, some great events. I know there's some statistics that you can talk about, but
Yeah.
let's talk about how it's evolved over the past few years and then where do you see it going?
Yeah. Well, so the first year was crazy.
Mhm.
We have a new CEO. Well, he's not new anymore. He's been here 3 years, but new then CEO, Randy Thalen, and he had spent a lot of time in other tech hubs around the United States, most recently Denver. And so we modeled the first version after Denver. And we had, I think the first year we had something like 6 weeks to put a program together. So we quickly asked Andrea Ramkama,
Mhm.
who leads she's our senior executive business developer, but we asked her to come on and lead the charge from an event standpoint and put it together. So 6 weeks, we had 7 events in our first week, and it was really driven by the community. I don't even know how many attendees we had, but fast forward to today, so 3 years later, we had 16,000 visitors, 70 plus events. But what I have to say is it really is a community's event. Our companies host the events. They
Mhm.
host them at their facility. They partner with each other to put on really impactful discussions, events. Some of them are entertaining, others are more tactical, where we're talking about industry trends. But again, I think it's the community that drives it. And in our third year, again, we're the second biggest tech week in the Midwest, which is really cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
And another reason that I'm so excited about our facility is because we can actually host events and we have the space to do it. And we're in the heart of Grand Rapids. So I think that, Tech Week GR really being able to put us on the map and, being able to provide that vehicle for getting seen. 7 events the first year, 70 events the third year.
Yeah.
This year, 2025, if we did the 10x again, oh my goodness, how many more the growth is going to be just exponential, I think, because we're getting some amazing businesses that
Yeah.
come together. And, it's just having the, facilities and, the collaboration to put us on the map.
Absolutely. And I think that, at the end of the day, when we launched our tenure tech strategy, we had something like 80 opportunities that the
Mhm.
community put in front of us and
Yeah.
said, we could activate any one of these and they would help us grow. But what we honed in on is that we really have to do a better job at marketing ourselves. We're a very humble community. We do great work, but we're just humble about it. And so
Mhm.
that isn't serving anybody. And so Tech Week really gave us an opportunity to put our name out there in a different way, in a different model. And so we've seen a lot of success by just doing it.
Right. Right. So, the trends in technology, whenever I talk to people, automation, AI is the first thing that people say. But
Yeah.
but what trends in technology do you think that businesses and organization in our region should really pay attention to?
Automation is certainly a big one, but operationally, it's another big one, especially for AI. And I tend to see that's where most companies are starting, right? How do we see efficiencies in what we're doing at all different levels? This past year, the Manufacturers Council, which has been in existence for
Hmm.
30 plus years, launched in partnership with one of the Technology Council members to think an AI roadmap for manufacturers.
Hmm.
They took a look at the personas within an organization and tried to incorporate AI into those personas to help manufacturers. So that's a trend that I'm seeing, right? Is how operationally we're seeing AI incorporate and help companies elevate and excavate. Another one, if I think about, the industries in West Michigan, ag is another industry that technology had huge implications for it. So a lot of sensor technology happening
Hmm.
and helping companies do things that would typically take them days, weeks, months with a lot of labor, helping them do that more quickly, more accurately. So those are kind of some of the quick trends that we're seeing.
Yeah, our business being technology, we break down our industries by healthcare,
Mhm.
retail, fintech, and then we have this miscellaneous where we've got manufacturers and trucking companies.
Yeah,
But, this is why I go back to every company's a technology company because there's so many IoT products and AI and automation products, and then
absolutely.
how they're interacting with their customers and communicating with their customers. Businesses really need to embrace that
Yeah,
because it's going to be more efficient. We need to make sure that we're removing some of the manual interactions. And, customers want, self service. If they
yeah,
want to book an appointment, they shouldn't have to talk to a human.
yeah,
They can book it. But if they
yeah,
want to talk to a human, that they're welcome to it. You got to have that avenue.
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
seeing a lot of what we would fall into automation or customer experience
Mhm.
projects. But, because of the talent crisis from the pandemic and, automation coming in, it's allowing businesses to evolve their workflow to,
Absolutely.
to make things more efficient. And I think if you don't do that, your biggest expense, which is your payroll, is at risk
Yeah,
because you've got to keep people in their role, excited about their role. And if they're doing all these manual transactions that can be easily done with an automation tool, you're at risk for that. And so
yeah.
Michigan has been a big, focus on retaining talent and not having talent leave to other areas. So I think that these programs that you have at the right place in trying to attract businesses and exciting businesses to West Michigan is crucial because along with that is going to come the talent that we want to keep here.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that gets missed a lot is around the design side of technology and user experience. So I was recently in the hospital with a parent, and I noticed that they had iPads in each one of the rooms. So they have a bit of a concierge service, I
Hmm.
guess, if you can call it Uber for hospital. So if you're in a hospital and you need a warm blanket or you need ice chips and you don't want to bother the nurse, you can just order it on an app. The app is called Helen. And it's actually a local company in here in town that designed it, right? Yeah, designed it and prototyped it. Now, what I saw is while I was really excited about the Helen app, my dad, my elderly dad that was in the bed, kept just pushing the nurse's button. he didn't want to go through all of the steps to go to the app and look through it.
Right,
Well,
right.
it was really exciting for me to have it. When I was trying to teach him how to use it, he would just push the button. So it's a great lesson in that user experience is
Mhm.
really important, and thinking through that from a design team and a design perspective is super important. And we have some amazing companies here in West Michigan, like City Innovations and TwistThink,
Mhm.
that are helping companies do that. And you guys do that at
Mhm.
Simplicity,
We do.
right? All
Yeah.
along, kind of think about that end game and, how and if it's going to be used so that it isn't a great technology that is just shelved.
Yeah, it's a balance because, a lot of companies, they want to embrace the new technologies, but they're balancing, how do I have enough resources?
Sure.
And then sometimes when they go through demoing and picking something out, by the time they actually pick it out, the technology has evolved. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, because it takes them a long time. So it's such a catch 22. But
Yeah.
I think that having these events like Go Beyond, like the Technology Council and Tech Week really reminds people that we've got so much going on here. And you just have to connect and help start solving those problems. So I'm excited about what we're doing with companies, both here in West Michigan and beyond that. But I'd love to, I'm hearing a lot about what inspires you, but what keeps you inspired and motivated in your work as a leader in technology?
Yeah, the stories.
Mm.
Just the stories. The stories that I get on a weekly and a daily basis around, I was hesitant. I was not feeling good about going and being in the room and doing these things. And I did. And I made these great connections. And now I'm launching this product or this
Mhm.
service. And, just the story like you and I had at the
Mhm.
beginning of this podcast about, we're thinking about doing this podcast. But once I came and I was in the room, it inspired me to do
Mhm.
this. I mean, those stories keep you inspired. So I would be remiss if I were to say that there isn't a day that I don't have imposter syndrome or that I'm not hesitant about doing things. I was telling somebody, I said, I wake up or I go to bed every night thinking, oh my gosh, whose idea was that? How am I going to do that? That's crazy. What are you thinking? And then I wake up the next morning and I tear the Band-Aid off and I'm like, it's go
I can do
time.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yep. Oh gosh, been there,
Uh,
done that
I
for
think
sure.
everybody feels that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Especially when we're optimistic, we can do anything. And
Yeah,
a number of years ago, when I first started my company, you can't always have great days. Sometimes it's like heavy.
absolutely.
And my daughter, Samantha, came up to me and said, Mom, she could see I was a little bit, dejected. And what's going on? I said, well, I guess I'm just not Superwoman. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, you're always Superwoman, but sometimes your cape is at the dry cleaners.
Oh my gosh,
And
I love
I know I have pulled
that.
that out so many times and shared that so many times because when I feel that time where it's like overwhelmed, there's so much going on, I just can't quite, it's fuzzy a little bit.
Yeah,
I stop and go, okay, it's just temporary.
yeah,
And chocolate always helps during those times too.
yeah. Oh gosh,
but
yeah,
but
absolutely.
but no, it's really important for us to remind ourselves that we can do it. We are strong enough.
Yeah,
And maybe if I'm not strong enough, I know people that I can reach out to and get some inspiration from and
absolutely.
they can get me through. So
Yeah,
that piece of the network for our young listeners, make sure you're creating your network. I think, when we think about what's been crucial to our success, the network that we've built. So I'd love to hear about, if you could highlight one skill or mindset that's been crucial to your success, what would that be?
create an advisory team.
Mm, mm-hmm,
And that sounds overwhelming and it's not. So when I give these talks around town, the first thing that I tell anybody is if you're thinking about doing something, create an advisory team and reach out to those people in your life that you have a solid relationship with. Not just the ones that are going to give you the yes answers either,
mm-hmm,
right? You need that honest feedback. So those that that have some competencies in what you're looking to do, some that will provide some honest feedback, but in a real authentic way, those that will be there for you. Create that advisory team so that you have somebody to go back to because you're going to have tough times. You're
mm-hmm,
going to have failures. And you need to stay authentic through all of it.
mm-hmm.
So have somebody there that you can bounce those ideas off from.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice because, you just never know where your journey's going to take you. And, anybody that I mentor or that I receive mentorship from,
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the nuggets of
Yeah.
what can I learn? How can I grow?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be open to those
Mhm.
growth opportunities
Yeah.
because we don't know everything.
Absolutely.
And change is so constant that we've
Yes.
got to be thinking and learning. So
Right. Right. Yes.
I'd love to hear about when you're not busy at all these different initiatives that you have at the right place and, really driving tech growth here in West Michigan. What do you do to recharge?
Ah, for fun. It's funny, I get this question a lot. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? I think just by the nature of what I do, I am an extrovert. I love being in the room.
Mhm.
I get my juju from being around awesome people like you.
Mhm.
But I also need my downtime. To me, a wonderful Saturday is just getting a couple of really good books, some hot tea and
Mhm.
reading. I mean, I'm an avid reader. I love to do that. I also like to travel.
Oh, yeah.
I like to
Yeah.
travel. I took my family this past year to Ireland and we did a
Mm.
lot of sightseeing. So I love history
Mm.
and so love to travel and get out and see what else is happening.
Do you have a favorite book that you want to share with the audience?
Well, I have several, but the one I would say most recently that has impacted me the most is it's called Necessary Endings, and it's
Mm.
by Dr. Henry Cloud, who has several different books out there. The title alone is a little off-putting because,
Yeah.
but it's a very positive book around, look, you're going to go through different seasons in your life. And some seasons are going to end like a harsh winter, and others are going to blossom like a fruitful spring
Mhm.
when you have a summer and plenty of rain. So, when you're looking at all throughout your life, when you're looking at different things, you're planting seeds and then you're providing resources to grow those flowers. And sometimes they don't grow, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And that's not failure, it's just a different season in life.
Right. Right. Most definitely. That resonates with me, that's for sure. So let's make sure listeners know where they can learn more about the Technology Council, the right place, and especially Go Beyond.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Jen Wangler. You can also connect with us on our website, so rightplace.org. And if you go to the events page, all of our events will be listed, not just Go Beyond, but our coffee circles, any other types of activities that we have. The coffee circles happen once a month, so we'd love to have you. Go Beyond will be on Thursday, February 27th at Grand Valley, the Center for Interprofessional Health here in Grand Rapids. So I'd love to see folks.
Yeah, definitely. I encourage people to sign up for the Go Beyond event. I've attended those and they're just great sources of energy. So Jen, we talked about I found this podcast studio through you, so I can't thank you enough for that. Supporting me through being on the Tech Council, being pulled in lots of different directions. I'm really inspired by you and
Oh,
in the impact that you're making with West Michigan and making it that tech hub. So I'm excited to see this year what happens at Tech Week GR and just watching those statistics grow. So thank you so much for being on the podcast and having these conversations that are so important.
thank you, Catherine. Thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story. I feel blessed to have you in my circle.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And thank you for joining us on Simplicity Conversations. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit us at thesimplepodcast.com for more insights. And I'll see you next time.